Hey watercolor wizards, Hajra here. Today we'll be easing into the new year with a Victorian illustration study by Elsie Anna Wood. Thanks for parking your brushes here and let the epic art adventures begin. I'm using my new Inktense Pans set in an ink and wash style to paint this piece, and so far I am really enjoying the colors in the set, and the quality feels exactly the same as the Inktense blocks that I already had. I don't know yet if I'll have any trouble with these pans drying and re-wetting over time due to their binder, which is waterproof on paper, drying in some weird way as a skin on top, but we'll find out in the near future, I assume, as I do more projects with this set. So I took some time to do a freehand drawing, which you can find as a sketch download if you're one of my patrons, and now I'm doing the ink lines with a brush using the natural brown pan mixed with the black pan from the Inktense set, instead of a pen or marker, so I can get some line variation the way that Wood has in her original illustration. This can result in some surprises in line variation, but it's a good thing for further interest in a simple piece like this. And just try to be more deliberate about how your lines get thicker or thinner for the more important places, and other places you can let it be more random. So you can try to focus thicker lines where the weight of a form is heavier or where the form has more shadows. So basically, the bottom lines and the lines on the side of forms and things can be brushed on thicker and make sense to the viewer. As long as you use a brush that comes to a nice point, you can also use just one brush to do the thicker, medium, and also the very fine lines like I did. Before I speak more about the master study in this video, I'd like to briefly talk about a Patreon poll, which should be of interest to patrons and also YouTube viewers. Around New Year's, I posted a poll on Patreon to ask which medium and genre art videos my patrons would like to see in 2019. I started off by sharing what I created last year in 2018, which included 48 YouTube art videos, 4 art collaboration videos, and 3 Skillshare video tutorials. Skillshare was actually a new platform for me in 2018, and I'm going to continue to post there in 2019 and maintain making my Skillshare videos free for my $7 patrons, so I hope that you guys enjoy those this year too. I also accepted a permanent member offer from the Animal Artist Collective and will be participating with those lovely bunch of artists all throughout this new year. Anyway, I asked my patrons to vote on several mediums and topics, and the poll results were as follows. 8 votes for gouache, 9 for watercolor, 9 for ink and wash, 3 for Inktense, 4 for grisaille, 3 for master studies, and 5 for ATCs. Though I will continue to analyze other artists and their art in my lengthy deconstructed painting post for as long as I'm on Patreon, my YouTube channel will gravitate toward mostly original art videos after 2019. This is in keeping with only getting 3 votes for more master studies videos in this poll. So, along with some original art sprinkled throughout this year, I'm going to finish working through my list of master studies for artists that I feel really strongly about in videos in 2019. Once that's taken care of, it'll be nice to mostly share the process for my original works in videos in future years. Since I received basically equal votes for watercolor, gouache, and ink and wash demos, I will continue to strive to do videos for these 3 mediums equally. As such, this video is in the ink and wash category as well as the master study category, so let's return to chatting about this art now. This illustration study of Elsie Anna Wood was requested as a discussion or study piece by Vaughn, one of my patrons. It's an illustration in the Victorian style featuring little girls throwing a make-believe tea party. Elsie Anna Wood was a British illustrator who lived from 1887 to 1978, and though this children's illustration is a simpler style of drawing and painting, she was known for her many detailed, romantic realism scenes of biblical subjects in more than 100 paintings for the Society of Propagation of Christian Knowledge. Because she had the opportunity to travel throughout Palestine and Egypt, she was able to use Palestinian models, close observation, and her well-honed skills to render many biblical and Middle Eastern subjects without ignorance and Europeanification, and without Orientalism and the resulting racist slant that mars so many other Western artist works of these subjects. So notably, Elsie Anna Wood's depiction of Jesus was not inaccurately blonde and blue-eyed, but properly swarthy, dark-haired, and dark-eyed. She also portrayed Jesus and his disciples as young men with clipped beards and hair, which they were, unlike other depictions of older, longer bearded men. And her religious figures have warm smiles and welcoming postures, which makes them more relatable to young audiences and children. Elsie Anna Wood is actually not widely known today, and hopefully this study introduces her to more people. Her tea party illustration captures her charm and special empathetic eye for children. The same gaze that made her biblical illustrations so appealing to children makes this tea party illustration nostalgic, innocent, and humorous. I particularly enjoyed all the dolls, toys, and props that are participating with the 2 little girls in their party. I love how serious the dolls and elephant stuffed animal look, like they are all looking forward to tea with scones and cookies, and also a bit of society gossip. The puppy with the purloined cookie at the bottom right is another humorous touch and adds further narrative as well as energy to the composition. Meanwhile, the two girls and their dolls and table form a triangle shape in their collective huddle, and that draws our attention to them as the focals. For the colors, I used poppy red, mango, kiwi, and bright blue in a double complementary color scheme from the Inktense Pans set. We can see that Wood utilized the complementary pairs of red and green and orange and blue adjacently for maximum clean pops of contrast. I also added in the natural brown and burnt yellow ochre from the pan set to dull down the other colors for shadow colors as needed. The color lay-ins are pretty flat and simple, so I used mostly wet on dry and a bit of wet and wet for a little color variation in the foliage as needed. Wood wisely kept the composition and colors unmuddled, as it can get busy fast for a piece with so many characters and little props. One example of this is how she kept the fair-headed girl's head in front of the dark background of the hedge, while she did the opposite with the dark-haired girl's head in front of the lighter grass lawn. So she was using not just color, but also value contrast effectively. For more information deconstructing assorted artwork, $7 patrons can check out my deconstructed painting posts. And I actually received a lot of specific requests via the other category in my poll, and also comments and messages to continue to post my deconstructed painting posts on Patreon that analyze color theory, layout, composition, style, mood, and technique. Because of my academic research and university teaching background, I really enjoy those info-dense posts, and so you'll continue to benefit from many more of those in the future. I swatched the pans in this Inktense set in a separate video, and shared my swatches and information about the set in a free public post on Patreon as well, so you can check those out if you're interested. I've got a whole bunch of lengthy private posts for patrons, but my video posts with some shared text information on tools and technique are always free on Patreon. As I've noted in past videos, the Inktense colors do dry a bit more matte and a bit duller than my fine transparent watercolors, or my fine gouache paints, or my liquid Dr. P.H. Martin inks as well. I've always assumed it's just a result of the waterproof binder the Inktense formula uses, so it's like a trade-off, because you get to work with something that acts like watercolor and gouache, but it dries waterproof on the paper. And I also assume that some of the duller drying results are caused by pigment choices by this brand. It depends a little on which colors you pick and how much you layer them, so keep that in mind, but I don't feel like that the Inktense are ever going to be as vibrant as the other paints that I own. In this case, it gives a nice vintage look to the illustration, and so I like that, but if you're doing a particular piece where you want the colors to be more vibrant, then choose among the Inktense colors more carefully for more high chroma colors, or you can just use a different brand of watercolor, gouache, or ink with more high chroma results. Well, wizards, hope you enjoyed joining me as we studied and painted a lovely vintage illustration by a female illustrator, women like Elsie Anna Wood, and Kate Greenaway, who I will feature in a future study, and Beatrix Potter, who I featured in a past master study video, showed that despite inequality between the sexes, talent, hard work, and the right opportunities could still make a big splash in the male-dominant world that these women resided in. Please like, comment, subscribe, and check out my website link, Skillshare, and Patreon page to support my art and art channel below. Thanks for parking your brushes here, and wishing you all fantastical ink and wash adventures.